and likewise the agent, the instruments of various sorts, the many kinds of efforts, and providence being the fifth. The 5 factors for the successful accomplishment of all works are adhishtan, meaning the seat of action, karta, meaning the agent, pratagvidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts, vividascha prataksheta, the many kinds of efforts, and deva, destiny. This is a subject of philosophy, and if you find it a little dry, then forgive me, but this is such a flower in which you cannot pour more water. God is explaining pure philosophy about how works become successfully accomplished. The first thing said is adhistan, the seat of action. The simple and straightforward meaning of adhistan, the seat of action, is the support. Adhisyate asmin iti adhistam. This is called adhistan, the seat of action. By adhistan, the seat of action, the Supreme Soul means the body. The first factor in the successful accomplishment of works is the body. Through this body we experience pleasures and pains, fame and ill fame, victory and defeat, gain and loss, and everything else. This is done through the body. The body is a support of all of this, such as wishes, repulsion, pleasures, pains, etc. If there were no body, then would any action become successfully accomplished? No, it would not be accomplished. It's a very logical and straightforward thing. This is the first necessity. Sharira madhyam kalu dharma sadhanam. The body is the instrument for us to perform dharma. Not only that, but sharira madhyam kalvu karma sadhanam. The body is the instrument for us to perform karma. If there was no body, then we would not be able to perform karma. The successful accomplishment of all actions requires the body. Let us say that we wish to listen to the discourse on the 18th chapter of the Gita. This is an action of ours. How can we successfully accomplish this action? It is if we have a body. You come for 2 days, and on a 3rd day your head hurts or you get a flu. Then the body gets damaged and you will not be able to come. Therefore, the action does not get successfully accomplished. Therefore, for the successful accomplishment of this action, the body is extremely necessary. By adhistan, the seat of action, it means the physical body. This does not oppose the body, and this does not criticize the body. This affects the body. The second factor is karta, agent. One who performs actions is the karta, the agent. Karoti iti karta. Karta, the agent, is a feeling that I am doing and I am enjoying the fruits. Upadi lakshana bhokta. This is the feeling of the ego. If the karta, the agent, were not there, then the action cannot be successfully accomplished. I read in English that there's a nice arrangement of everybody, somebody, nobody, and anybody. The context is that an action needed to be performed and everybody thought that somebody would do it, but nobody did it. Therefore, somebody should feel that I am doing this. The ego of I must be there. Only if there's a feeling of I will the action become successful. One should have the feeling of being the doer. The third factor is pratagvidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts. The meaning of pratagvidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts, here is the senses, but 12 things come in the senses. The 5 senses of knowledge, the 5 senses of action, the mind and the intellect. The combination of these 12 is the karanam, the instrument. They are that through which the action is performed. Kriyate anena iti karanam. When does the action of listening to the Gita become successfully accomplished? If one has a body, then fine. Then they need the attitude of being the doer, that I wish to listen to the Gita. But if they come here and there's a block in the ear and the ear stops functioning temporarily, then the ear is a sense of action and has stopped working. Will one then be able to hear? No. Will the work be successfully accomplished? No. The mind is also a karanam, an instrument. If one comes and sits at a Gita discourse and is thinking that half an hour of the discourse is gone and Dhruv has not yet given an example, has not given any stories, then the mind begins running. Now when the mind goes, then it is finished. This is because the mind is a sense and therefore a part of pratagvidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts. If the karanam instrument goes, then the work of listening to the Gita will not be successfully accomplished. You need all of these, including the mind, the intellect, the 5 senses of knowledge, and the 5 senses of action. These are the pratagvidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts, and they are needed for the successful accomplishment of works. The fourth factor is vividascha prataksheta, the many kinds of efforts. Jeshta means activities, and that because of which all these activities are running around taking place, such as coming, going, speaking, listening, and all of this. All of these are jeshta, efforts. A person may have a body, may have the feeling of being the doer, and the senses may be there, but if the person does not do anything, and he's just sitting there, and is not ready to do anything, and therefore the work will not get successfully accomplished. There are many people like this who think a lot, but do not do anything. Why do they not do anything? They say that we got tired after thinking too much. We got exhausted after planning, and therefore we could not perform the action. Therefore, chesta, efforts are necessary. And the fifth factor that God says is deva, destiny. Deva, destiny are the gods who accommodate the previous four factors that are adhistan, the seat of action, karta, the agent, pratag vidam karanam, the instruments of various sorts, and vividasya pratakshesta, the many kinds of efforts. The gods who give their grace of the first four factors are called deva, destiny. It is described in the scriptures that the god of the physical body is called Prithvi, earth. Karta is the ego, and Rudra is the god of the ego. One of the senses, Dikpal and Dikdev, or out of the senses, Dikpal and Dikdev are the god of the ears. Vayu, the wind, is the god of the skin. Surya, the sun, is the god of the eyes. Varuna, the sea, is the god of the tongue. The Ashwin Kumar are the gods of the reproductive organs. Brahaspati is the god of speech, etc. We need their grace. And if I were to say in another meaning, then Deva is what we understand to be sanskar, mental imprints of our karmas in the past and the previous births. They are also called Deva, destiny and luck. Now, look, all of us have the question that we're not achieving success in our works. What is the reason for this? Think about whether all five of these factors are working for us. Is the adhistan, the seat of action, that is the body, right? Is the karta, that is the feeling of being the doer, right? And is the person enthusiastic about doing it? Is the pratagvida karanam, the instruments of various sorts, that are the senses, right? And under the vivishtasya pratakshesta, the many kinds of efforts being performed properly. And in the end is deva, destiny. Is it favorable? When all of these are there and deva, destiny, is not there, then the work will miss out a little on being successfully accomplished. Many people have the important question of what is the most important out of efforts and destiny. And many people say that if it is written in our destiny, then it would happen. No, it's not like that. Look here in this verse that God has given the first four factors for the successful accomplishment of works. And what are these? All four of these give greater dependence to efforts. The body, the doer, the senses, and the works. All of these are dependent on efforts. On the other hand, deva, destiny, is not within our hands. It is not in our hands now, but it was in our hands before. This is because the karmas we performed come back and become our deva, destiny. Other people's karmas do not become our deva, destiny. Our own karmas become our own destiny. But we must understand now in the present that the karmas of our past have come to stand in front of us now as our deva, destiny. And therefore we cannot make changes to this now, and we have to go through it. But if you wish to give the answer to the question about whether efforts or destiny is more important, then you can give the answer that efforts are 80% and destiny is 20%. The word panchanam is used after deva, destiny, showing that deva, destiny, is 1/5. Therefore, efforts are 80%. If a person makes efforts, then he is able to change his deva, destiny. In fact, I will not say that he's able to change his destiny, but he's able to loosen the effect of destiny. This is because there is some deva, destiny, that we have to do and that we have to go through. If I say in another meaning, then the circumstances that we are in is deva, destiny. And what we do in those circumstances is our efforts. I'll explain by way of an ordinary example. Let us say that it's 6 p.m. on 27th of September 2012. At that moment, let's say it's today. Today's date is the 29th of July 2014. At that moment, a lot of us have gathered together for discourse on the Gita. This great circumstance has arisen. This is deva, destiny. It is destiny. We are all destined to be together. But deva, destiny, has come, and deva stopped there. Deva has brought us all together, and it's not in some people's destiny, then they would not be able to come. Perhaps they'd be more fortunate than us that they've become saved from spirituality. Let us not go into a discussion on whether this deva, destiny, is good or bad, but our deva, destiny, is certainly this, and if their deva, destiny, gets awakened, then they will come. Therefore, this deva, destiny, brings us all together at this time. It is pure destiny. It can also be the case that a person has resolved to come, but the person has become stuck in traffic, and therefore he cannot come, or heavy rain started falling, which had prevented him coming. All of this is possible, but one thing is certain, that we have all got together, and therefore our destiny is such that we have all got together at this time. Destiny has put us all here. And it can also be the case that some people did not ask to come, but someone grabbed their hands and brought them here for one day to see whether they will like it, otherwise they will not come. This can also be possible. Someone may have left their house to go shopping, but it was raining a lot, and therefore they could not move around, and they decided to go and listen to the Gita. This can also happen. In some way or the other, destiny brought us here at that time. What we do in those circumstances is in our hands. We can all get together and play cards. We can all get together to watch a film on television. All of us can get together and play board games. It surprises me how much interest people take in playing board games. We could do all of this. And we can also sit together and try to understand the principles of the Gita. What principles are these? They are kritanta, that which liberates from the bondages of karmas. We want to attain the gnan, wisdom of these principles. What we do at that time are our own efforts. It is possible that destiny may come and put us there, but despite sitting here, a person says that let us go and play cards. Then this is possible. Therefore, destiny has come and has brought them there, but what their efforts did was to take them to play cards. As a consequence of the actions we perform tomorrow, our destiny ahead is made. Think about what connections destiny makes. There must have been some satkarma, divine acts in the past that has brought us here. Now the efforts we make today will create our futures and will create our destiny. After listening to the Gita discourse, it's possible that after 2 months, 2 years or 5 years, that circumstances arise where with thoughts we hear are of use and make our lives great. This creates our deva, destiny. 80% is in our hands. The majority of people live on one extreme or the other. There are some people who only live on making efforts. They keep talking about efforts, efforts and efforts. They think that there's only efforts and nothing else. And there are some other people who are in a majority that depend completely on their destiny and say that it is in our luck, that if it's in our luck then it will happen. If it's in our luck then it will happen. Both of these extremes are wrong. Shri Krishna gives 20% to destiny, and if we study history, then great saints explain to us using beautiful examples how effective destiny is. If I take the ordinary examples of our lives, then one thinks that destiny has to be there. The first example is our birth. Our birth is dependent on destiny. It is destiny because birth is such a thing in which we do not have a choice. I will make one thing clear once again. This destiny is ultimately our karma. But if we had unconsciousness at the time of performing karmas, and we did not know yet perform karmas, then the consequences may be stored and is ready to come as a fruit in our destiny. And destiny does not create anything else. We create our own destiny, but the system of the world is such that the karmas we perform come back at different times. We discuss Kriyamar, Sanchit and Prarabdha karmas in the 2nd chapter of the Gita. But the karmas that cannot give us fruit straight away, these karmas are sanchit, stored, and come in front of us as prarabdha, destiny. I'm giving you proof of the fact that this is there from our everyday lives. The first proof is birth, which is dependent upon destiny. The reason for this is that at the time of birth, we did not have a choice about whether to choose our parents, shoes, our house, etc. All of this was not in our hands. I'll show you through 2 ways. If in reality everybody had a choice and there was no such thing as destiny, then village huts and slums would never be filled with people. This is because who would prefer to take birth there? Nobody would choose to be born there. But despite this, people get born there. There are beings that get born there. There could not have been any choice in this. Their destiny must have been like this, and their destiny must have been like this, that they would reach there and they would take birth there. And if we look at it from the other side, then there should be no emptiness in royal palaces. And yet history shows us that such few people get born in royal palaces. Therefore this thing should be completely left to destiny. And if a human being accepts this, then they will get a lot of peace in life. The second example is the body. This is dependent upon destiny. This is what we call our appearance. This is the external appearance of the body. This is dependent upon destiny. If we had a right to this, then everybody would be beautiful in their appearances. There are no ugly people, but we consider, according to our measurements of the world, to be so. If there was nobody like this, and everybody was so-called beautiful and picture perfect, with eyes like a fish, teeth like pomegranates, lips like lotus pearls, etc., this experiment is worth doing. I've done it. Take a blank piece of paper and draw a picture of what we call the best with eyes like a fish by drawing two fish in a place of someone's eyes. Then when people say lips like rose petals, then draw two rose petals. Then when people say teeth like pomegranates, then you should want to draw it in 3 dimension, then place pomegranate seeds there. And if everything else that people say will be included, people say eyebrows like bows, make eyebrows like bows there, then go and see if you liked it if you were given a face like that. You will not like it. The funny thing is that if everything on people's faces is nice, then we go and find something that we particularly like and say that everything is all right, but the eyes are very nice on their face. Or everything is nice, but the lips are very nice on their face. If everything came together, then how great would it be? Let us leave it. What I mean to say is that the body is destiny. We see this in everyday life. Third, a life partner is destiny. It is destiny. We get very happy that we made a choice and we saw 10 people and preferred him out of them. You are always going to prefer him. It is destiny. Where each being will be born and with whom they will begin the journey of life, all of this is already decided. The reason for this is that if it were not like this, then everybody was placing so much support on preferences, then none of the problems and difficulties that happen in our lives because of marriages would be seen. And I would say that if they were seen in olden times, then we can apologize because elderly people decided this. But now in today's times, when people roam around together for 2 months, 3 months or 6 months and then decide, then you should not be able to see any problems. On the contrary, before the elders would decide and the bride and groom would not even see each other before the marriage. The engagement happens, money gets exchanged, the groom comes and stands there, the mother of the girl comes to welcome him, the ceremony begins, there is a reception of the bridegroom at the altar and bestowing of the presents by the bride's father. The bride's uncle brings the bride to the wedding altar amongst the chants of Saudan, and after the chants of Saudan finish, then after singing the Mangala Astak, the curtain is moved and the bride and the groom see each other for the first time. Until then, they had not seen each other, not spoken to each other, and had not done nothing. Yet despite this, these marriages lasted. Those people who had got married in that way, we know how they lasted, but don't know how they lasted, but they lasted. But one thing is certain now, that the bride and the groom see each other before they get married. They decide themselves and say that they preferred each other, whereas the previous people they saw were not good and there was something wrong with them. For example, the first girl was too short, the second girl was too tall, the third girl was too dark, and the fourth girl was too light-skinned. Now marriages take place after both the bride and groom preferred each other, and yet despite this, problems and difficulties arise. Why does this happen? Understand that this was destiny. If you accept these things as destiny, then you'll get a lot of peace in life. This is what I mean to say. My perspective here is not a great helplessness, but my perspective here is to teach people to have acceptance towards life, and a consequent peace will come in their lives. People should accept that all of these are destiny. Firstly, birth is destiny, and 2 things come in birth. First, a mother and a father, and the second is a place. Secondly, the body is dependent on destiny. Thirdly, the life partner is dependent upon deva, destiny. Fourth, children are dependent upon destiny. The logic is simple and straightforward. Just like our birth is dependent upon destiny, in the same way the birth of our children is dependent upon destiny. Just like we have no right to choose our parents, in the same way the children that come to us have no right to this, and therefore they come only through destiny. Otherwise, would people not get to choose their children at the hospitals? People would arrange children in hospitals, and children naturally ask, "Mother, where did I come from?" The mother will say, "Child, we bought you from the hospital." Just like one chooses chocolates from the shelf, these people would bring children from the hospitals. The births of your children are dependent upon destiny. And lastly, death is dependent upon destiny. Parents, place of birth, the body, the life partner, the children, and death, all 5 of these things are dependent upon destiny. We have no right in these. We have no right to decide where death will happen or how it will happen. You see that some people have performed such beautiful karmas in their lives, and they've got so much pain in the last moment of their lives, and we wonder why this happens. Many such questions come to us. We say that we have seen their lives for the last 70 or 80 years. For which karmas are they suffering the consequences? These are not karmas in the current life that we see, but it's the destiny of their previous lives, or the being that has come very close to liberation, and they're experiencing the few karmas that they have yet to experience. There is also what we call early death at a very young age, or sudden death, and the reason for all of this is only one. It is destiny. And destiny is that which is behind the curtains. When it comes out and stands in front of us, then we realize it is destiny. Otherwise, while it does not come out, then it is unknown and it is a secret. It is a mystery. This is called destiny. I'll tell you about some examples from history that great personalities give. When there was a revolution in France 225 years ago, exploitation had increased so much. At that time, people in France were paying 93% tax. If people were owning 100 francs, then they would have to pay 93 francs in tax and only use 7 francs for themselves. This is a situation that was there at the time, and you can only imagine how much poverty there was. The king was Louis XVI, and his queen was Marie Antoinette. There was a royal tax for the king, and there was also clergy tax for the church as well. Rich people would gather so much money, and the majority of people who were ordinary people would be exploited. This is a circumstance that arose in France. A revolution was certainly going to come, and it happened. Rousseau and other thinkers that came, such as Montesquieu, led to this revolution. People were starving. It is a very famous event in history that these starving people took empty plates to the king's palace. The king did not come in front of them, but the Queen Marie Antoinette came in front of them at the balcony. She came and asked the people why they had come there. The people shouted and said, "Queen, we did not have bread to eat." At that time, Marie Antoinette said, as a joke, "If you do not have bread, then eat cakes." If a person does not even have bread, then how can they eat cakes? And after hearing this answer of the queen, people became so filled with anger, they made a plan at night. They broke the jail of Bastille and freed the revolutionaries that were put into the jails. The spies and police of the king came and told the king that the people had revolted and the people had planned that they would attack the palace the next morning. They said that hundreds of thousands of people would come and attack the palace, and nobody would be able to defend the palace, and in the end they would kill the king and queen under the guillotine. In France there were guillotines to kill people. They say that if you wish to save your lives, then you should run. When the spies came and said this, then it was natural that they would not think about anything else, and they ran to escape. The king also had people who he trusted, and they made a whole plan. There were horse carriages at the time. The horse carriages would leave from the king's palace and would secretly take the royal couple away. This is because if they would run away, then the people would find out and would catch them. Therefore they would escape under a false disguise. Horses have limits in their running, and after running half an hour or an hour, the horse gets tired. Marie Antoinette was from Austria, and the plan was for them to escape to Austria overnight. The whole sequence had been arranged that half an hour of travelling later on one horse, they'd reach one place and then another horse carriage would be ready there, and they would sit in that. This horse carriage would carry them for another half an hour, and then after that a third horse carriage would be there to take them away. By doing this, the plan was to take the royal couple to Austria from France in one night in speed using the whole horse carriages. The spies had to take care that they would tell the people taking horse carriages that, for example, they would have to take the horse carriage to a certain place by 2 a.m. in the night and take the passengers that come to a certain place. This is all they were told. They were not told that the king and the queen were going to sit in the carriages. They could not take the royal chariot to run away, and therefore they were to go in the horse carriages of ordinary people. They had arranged the whole sequence. Historians show that during that night of escaping, Marie Antoinette arrived 40 minutes late. Only Sri Ram knows what she was doing. She arrived late, and the people in the first few horse carriages waited and said that the people in the horse carriages thereafter went away frustrated that these people are going to come, but would they come so late in the night? Let us go. The king and the queen fell into the people's hands, and on the morning of the second day, the people killed them on the guillotine. Historians have carried out investigations and research and say that it is still a mystery that when it was a question of life and death, and it is proved that in 4 hours of that night the hairs of the king and the queen had turned white because they had so much worries and tensions that this happened in 4 hours, that is why, then why did it take so long for Mary Antoinette to come out. Had she sat to do her makeup, she knew that she would die, yet she arrived late. Historians say that it was probably destined that it would happen to them. It is said in this verse that destiny is 1/5 responsible for all work. At the time of the Panipat War, the commander-in-chief of the Maratha army was Sadashiv Rao. Who's heard of him? Sadashiv Rao. At the beginning, the Marathas were winning. Sadashiv Rao had a bullet go through his eye. He was taken away from the battlefield. The Maratha army just saw that the leader was not there and the commander-in-chief was not there. They were winning, but when they saw that the commander-in-chief was not there, there was chaos in the army. Ibrahim Lodi from the other side was very sneaky, and he spread big rumours that Sadashiv Rao had died and the army was shocked. As a result, the king, Ahmad Shah Durrani, who was being defeated, won in the end. All of this was prepared. Not only that, but I will tell you that in the same war, where at the banks of the Yamuna a war was to take place, these people took the history of the past 25 years to see when it would rain, how much water we filled in the Yamuna river, and how they could go over. During that very year, an overflow came from the Yamuna river, resulting in the flood that led to many of the soldiers drowning, together with equipment, alcohol and horses. Deva, destiny, is 1/5 responsible for all work. If they had not thought about this, and this happened, then you can say that they had not paid attention, but had done planning and had the records of the last 25 years. Destiny is 1/5 responsible for all work. What I mean to say is that you have to accept destiny. Scientists have carried out research. James Watt researched into steam energy. He was only 7 to 8 years of age. So much tea was being heated in his house on the stove. When his tea was being heated, the steam led to the lid moving up and down. James Watt kept seeing this and thought about how much energy steam that this was making the lid move up and down, and that it was able to move this lid up and down. He then wondered whether everything else could also move up and down because of steam. He carried out full research into steam energy. He discovered that this is how to make cars and how a lot of machines run. How many people must have seen this vision? How many people must have seen the lid on the teapot move up and down because of the steam? Only James Watt discovered this. This is destiny. So many things happen that are beyond our control. If I were to say in a language of spirituality, then the unmanifest truth comes into play and becomes the circumstances. The unmanifest truth becomes pertinent. This is destiny. It is there. Now from the next verse, God talks more about the reasons for action. Verse 15.